As far as casting is concerned, okay, and you're doing principal casting as well,
We do that.
right?
People would be surprised what we do.
Right. And also, I know you did John from Cincinnati.
Hmm.
You did. Did you cast an episode? Am I correct? Or did you cast
Yeah, well, we did the series.
the series of that?
Yeah, we
Okay.
did the whole series.
If an actor comes into your room, okay, and does a read for you, what are the do's and don'ts that you would have for that actor coming in an audition for you?
First off,
Mhm.
and I see this happens more often than I would like, know your material.
Yes. Hmm.
I mean, know those lines. I mean, that is more than a given. I mean, I just hired like 30 some singers, and they had to do this Italian piece, and I said, you have to know it cold turkey.
Mhm.
You know, and I knew the singers. I don't want to hear anyone. And when they got there, they made them all sing it individually. I had a guy there, a musical guy.
Mhm.
Everyone had to sing it individually, even though they were going to do it in a mass group of 500 people,
Right.
because that's the discipline, if you
Mhm.
will.
Mhm.
So know your material,
Absolutely.
okay? And you'd be surprised in how many people think, well, I know it, because when you put them in front of lights, a camera, the nerves really set in.
Yes.
And then if I want to switch or play with it, you know, or do something like improvisationally or get you to try different things, if you're strapped with the material, it's not good.
Right.
Okay, so know the material.
Mhm.
That's first. Know it cold turkey, inside and out. You should be staying up with it all night learning it.
Mhm.
Do not assume that, I've just got it memorized, because when you get in there, it's all going to change,
Yes.
and you're going to be flustered, and I see the sweat
Right.
big time.
Right.
So that's first and foremost. Be yourself.
Mhm.
Allow who you are as an individual, as a human being. Allow that to come through what you do.
Mhm.
Many times if someone is acting, which is what I don't want, because when you have a camera, you can see the soul of the individual,
Right.
the nuancing. Just allow that human element. Draw off of something subtextually that has a human element that's a part of you.
Mhm.
And many times if people don't have that, they're having tough. I will do a quick improvisation and I'll throw them into it, or I will create something improvisationally. It's a quick fix to get them into it, so they can lose themselves in terms of what they're doing. So be themselves, be natural, be real. Don't try to impress people, because the camera is going inside of you. It's very fragile. Make sure your resume is simple.
Mhm.
I don't want to see everything you've done for the last 20 years. I do not have time to look through. Simple. What is the latest thing that you've done?
Right.
That's what I'm interested in.
Right.
What was the last thing that you did? If it was 20 years ago and you haven't done anything since, or 5 years, okay, so be it.
Mhm.
But be natural, be real, because I'm going to know. I can see the experience.
Mhm.
And people come in with all these credits, and people who have a lot of theater credits,
Mhm.
they come in and they don't understand the nuancing of the camera. Less is more. Bring it down. I need a violin
Mhm.
instead of a trumpet.
Yes.
Don't blare. I can hear you.
Right.
You learn to pull back,
Right.
and you learn the subtlety of what you're doing, because
Mhm.
people can hear you.
Mhm.
It's being able to listen to yourself, know yourself, basically. And that's a technique.
Right.
It is a technique. Some people do it, some people don't.
Right.
But you're not hitting the back wall. You're not hitting the balcony. So study. See yourself on tape. See how you project yourself. Is it too much? Is it whatever? But have a sense of what your volume is, who you are as a person, because on film you don't have to do that much.
That's true.
It's the subtlety of what it is. And these dials that to bring it, if you're on stage you have to hit the back wall,
Right.
but on film the camera is going right inside of you, and so you learn to understand what that subtlety is.
Mhm.
That's something that people should work on, especially if you've not done it. And you can always see the seasoned pro. You can see the real person who's quite amazing. They've been around a long time. They've done a lot of things, but they've also done a lot of work.
Right.
And they know that close-up is the money shot at the end of the day.
Mhm.
And they're not exhausted and they're not wasted. So experience is everything. So take these classes, take these workshops, just practice, look at it, study yourself.
Right.
Look at yourself in the mirror. Know who you are.
Right.
What makes you work? It's a self-study.
Mhm.
When you take classes, they don't add anything to you. They simply get you to open up,
Right.
if you will. Now, I can draw that parallel to an extra, where, okay, you're just walking in the background, but create a life. What is your motivation? What's going on through you? I have seen people pulled out of the background because something was going on.
Mm-hmm.
When I did a movie Far and Away, I had this actress run to my office, and I went, oh my gosh, something happened. Someone ran up to her. Someone made a comment. Because occasionally you hear something weird happen, and I have to remedy that. And she came and she says, I cannot believe what you did. And I said, Barbara, what is it? It wasn't Barbara Streisand. It was another Barbara.
Oh, okay.
And she said, I can, and I was just waiting for the real negative thing to come out, and how could I have done something like that? I had hired a man who was crippled. And when she got off of her horse, this is up in Montana, this man was struggling to walk up the hill. He was struggling. He had a limp. And it made her stop what she was doing because it was a human being. It was real. It was alive. She felt, she didn't know who this man was, but it was real.
Right.
And she said, it changed my whole motivation of what I was doing because I was drawn into the life of this person who was struggling to get up the hill, and I didn't even know who they were. Do you follow what I'm saying?
I follow exactly what you're saying.
I've also seen with special abilities, we've hired blind people, deaf people. You know, I've seen them in scenes. Dustin Hoffman went to this blind person in a crowd. It was like 300 people, and he had to walk by, and he was drawn to this blind woman. No one told him that there was a blind woman.
Right.
He looked and noticed that this woman kept looking down, and there was no focus, and he was drawn over to her, and he made a comment to her. There's a movie called Hero.
Yes.
To people who were very ill that I've used in a movie, terminally ill children. They were willing to do it. They had cancer. And they needed some kids in the hospital scenes, and we did that in that movie also. And Stephen Frears, who did the movie, called me to come to the set, and I thought, here we go, it's going to be a reprimand. How could you do something like? He says, he almost couldn't talk. He said, what made you do this?
Right.
And I said, I don't know. It was a slice of life. It was something that just was human, was real. I understood that these people wanting to communicate. And that happens all the time. You know, I'm in a wheelchair. Can you hire me? And I try to be very creative with my casting because it's real and it's human. And that sometimes it can stop time, and it can create the most beautiful moment if you just allow yourself to do it, if you will.